Welcome to the Art Colony, a podcast about art and art history in Provincetown. My name is Gaston Lacombe. Well, dear listeners, we started the Art Colony podcast by recording 12 episodes to see how it would go, and then we were going to take a break. But your response has been tremendously positive, and the number of listeners keeps growing every week, so we decided to keep recording. So here we are again in studio, working on a whole new set of episodes. And as we move forward, I want to start something new on the podcast, a little series that I will call Artist at Work. Yes, the Provincetown Art Colony has a very rich history, but that history is also happening right now. And I would like to record that. Let me tell you a little story. When I first moved to the United States in 2008, for the first few years, I didn't have a visa that allowed me to work in the US. So until I got a green card and then my citizenship, all I could do was study or volunteer. Since I was living in Washington, D.C., I started doing volunteer work at the Smithsonian Institution. And because of my background both in art and history, I was placed in the Archives of American Art. There, I was given recordings of interviews that the Smithsonian had conducted with artists in the late 1960s. Some of these hadn't been listened to in 40 years. I had to listen to these interviews and transcribe them, since this was before the days of voice recognition software. Some of these interviews I also needed to translate because they were conducted in French. This means that I would spend weeks and sometimes months with each interview, listening to these artists talk about their lives, their work, and what they were doing at that specific time in history. It was fascinating. It was like stepping in a time machine and landing right in the middle of an artist studio in the 1960s and getting to know that artist personally. The transcription job was quite tedious, but I really enjoyed traveling in history through these recordings. And if you go on the website of the Archives of American Art now, you can find all of these interviews that I once transcribed. So all of this to say that with this new series, Artist at Work, I want to bring a bit of that into this podcast. I want to record the artists who are working now in Provincetown. Capture this moment in time in the art colony so that hopefully others can listen to it in the future and do a little bit of time travel with us. And to launch this new series, I have with me today a dear friend, a very talented performer, and someone who never ceases to impress me. So I would like to introduce Mr. John Pirroni.
Well, hello.
How are you, Johnny?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me today.
So please tell us, I asked this to all the guests, who is Johnny Pirroni?
Oh, what a question. Who is Johnny Pirroni? I am a dog lover and an entertainer. I'm a thinker and a dreamer, and a singer and a baker. I don't know. I'm so many things. I'm everything and nothing all at once. It's hard to explain myself, you know?
And if people don't know the name John Pirroni, which name might they know?
Sure. They would know Delta Miles, which is my drag name here in town.
Could you tell us the origin of that name?
Oh, sure. So I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. And when I was a young adult in Boston, I was doing a show with the Goldust Orphans and Ryan Landry and Scott Martino and Varla Jean Merman called Phantom of the Opera. And they were trying to decide on a drag name for me. They went through a bunch of different names that I didn't enjoy. And then nobody remembers exactly who said it, but they were driving Varla Jean Merman to the Boston Logan Airport, and somebody saw it on the sign, Delta Miles. I said, that's it. That's the name. It's Delta Miles. And I said, that works. So I was born in a trunk by sort of three drag titans on the way to Logan Airport.
Well, that's interesting because the first time I knew you existed was because of Ryan Landry. I saw you once at Showgirls. When did you start at Showgirls? What would be 2019, 2020?
That was my second time around. I started coming to P-Town in 2009 or 10.
Oh, so that's a long time ago.
Yeah, but 2000, I think maybe it was the second year of COVID when I came back to P-Town and did Showgirls for a full season. We were at the high school and then we were at Pilgrim House.
Yeah, we were at the high school when I first saw you.
Yeah,
And
I
I
think that
remember
was
that night,
2021.
my partner and I sat down and said, "Oh my God, this is the best voice we've ever heard.
Oh, thank
This
you.
is not just another performer. This is spectacular."
Wow.
But tell us about your Provincetown history. You said you were here in 2009, 2010 and came back. So what's your Provincetown history?
Yeah, I started coming here in 2009, 2010, doing shows with Ryan and Showgirls, and then after a couple of years, I took a long break. I moved to New York. I was living there. And then COVID came, and the job I had in New York sort of fizzled out, and I was bored collecting unemployment. And I called Ryan up and I said, "Hey, can I come for a week and like sing a song in Space Pussy, which is his rock band?" And he's like, "Why don't you just come for the summer and do Showgirls? And you just do Showgirls every week." And I said, "Sure." And I did. And it was like getting shot out of a rocket. It's like I had never left. And all the opportunities that I had when I was younger were still here.
So, for the listeners who might not know what Showgirls is, it's a weekly talent show that
Right.
happens every Monday in the summer here in Provincetown. It's sort of a curated open mic, you can say. It's an open mic, but Ryan Landry decides who's going to be on stage, right?
Sort of. It's like part talent show, part competition. Everyone's allowed to enter. Ryan will also ask his friends to come in and perform. And then at the end, it's up to the audience to decide who wins that night,
And
whoever's going to win the money.
when we talk of Ryan Landry's friends, it's like Parker Posey and Jennifer Coolidge.
Yes, yeah.
And who
Margaret
else?
Cho, Tina
Margaret Cho.
Martina.
He has all of these spectacular friends.
Yes.
And you won, right?
I won Showgirl of the Year my first year back. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Definitely deserved it. But how did you get started as a performer?
I was performing from a very young age, doing theater in school and then in high school. And then in high school, I got my first theater tech job in Boston with Company One Theater, who I think are still in operation. I worked sound for, I can't remember if it was sound or video. It was something for a production of Twilight Los Angeles, which was about the LA riots of 92. And it was at the Boston Center for the Arts. That was like my first real job. I was 16 and I was working in tech and theater. And then I started doing regional theater the moment I graduated high school, was performing in summer stock and working my way up. Then I moved to New York for a first time and did not love it, came right back. Took some time off, became a makeup artist, got back into theater, got my equity card, moved to New York, stopped acting again, got further into makeup, became a master educator in makeup, and then COVID. So it's always sort of been in my life. Somehow it's been woven in throughout, but I've taken breaks here and there.
But did you take, I mean, you have a fantastic voice. Did you take what's the word, singing lessons? Did you take dancing lessons? You're also a wonderful dancer and choreographer.
Oh yeah, thank you. I did. I took, but from a late age. Started taking voice lessons in middle school, and I started taking dance lessons in high school, which is very late for someone to be dancing. Like most people are dancing by the time they're 4 or 5, and I started dancing when I was 15.
And at what point did you decide to do this in drag?
Oh yeah. So I was living in New York for the first time with my friend Darius. And I remember like YouTube had just started to become a thing and Google videos was just becoming a thing. So you had access, some access, not like now, but you had some access to vintage videos. And I remember there were certain videos that were online. There were videos of Varla Jean Merman doing her logo music video, singing about Stonewall. Randy Roberts doing her Let Me Entertain You striptease singing live. And I remember saying, "What is that? How do they get their hair to grow out of their head? Well, how are they singing like that live? And where do they get these costumes from? I want to do that." And I remember Darius, I told Darius that I'm done with New York. I want to leave. I want to pursue drag as a career. And Darius said, "You're wasting your time. You need to be here auditioning and not wasting your life on trying to do something that isn't going to bring you anything." So, not an exact quote, but more or less the sentiment was like, "Don't leave New York. Drag's a waste of time." which was a popular statement back then. And I said, "You watch, I'm gonna leave New York and I'm gonna work with Varla Jean Merman and I'm gonna be a star." Sure enough, like 3 months later, I was in The Goldest Orphans in a supporting lead role as Nancy Grace, and Varla was the lead, Christine Daae in this production, Phantom of the Opera, and we played it to sold out houses in the basement of a gay nightclub for a month, and it was the most spectacular thing I've ever done.
So a lot of drag queens talk about their drag mother. Would you say Varla is your drag mother, or does that not necessarily is that not the story really?
Yeah, I call Varla mother, though I don't think she'd ever admit it because she doesn't want to admit her age. But Varla has been like a real mentor to me in my career, as well as Randy Roberts and Coco Peru. It's so cool to have all these people in my life that have really helped guide me down the path as I try to find what I'm looking for. And they have such great advice, such great knowledge because they've done it and they continue to do it and they continue to keep it fresh. So I'm always looking to them for their sage wisdom.
And it's great that in Provincetown you have access to all these people.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's incredible. Sometimes I have to pinch myself. Like I have, like we call like people who don't perform muggles, like or just the regular humans. And like my regular human friends will come to town and sort of be in awe and starstruck, but we all live here and breathe here, so it's like it's nothing to us because we all just sort of coexist. But my friends come into town, they're like, "Whoa, you're friends with that person." I'm like, "Yeah, we all are."
It's funny because when I first came to Provincetown, I spent all of my 20s and 30s living in Eastern Europe. And then I moved to the US, and it took me a while to get sort of integrated within the gay community. And I
Right,
got to Provincetown, and I met a lot of people, including Jeff, who's Varla Jean Merman. And I didn't really fully realize who they were. And then my friends would come and say, "You're friends with that person?" Like,
right,
well, that's just my neighbor,
right, right.
but that's Provincetown for you.
That's P Town. That's the I think the coolest part about here is that we all live together in this little community and create together, and no one's above it or below it. Everyone gets to exist and create.
So when I was talking to Jeff Arlene Merman in a previous podcast, he was talking about how some drag performers have a character and some others do not have a character. And nowadays, the people coming out of RuPaul, they don't necessarily have a character. They are themselves, but they just do it in drag. How would you describe Delta Miles? Is that a character or is that you performing as Delta Miles?
Sure. The way I describe Delta is that she's a 6'2" ex linebacker
Sorry, I have to laugh at that.
who believes that she is a 5'7" bubbly ingenue wrapped in a meatball. That's the best way I could describe
Why a
Delta
meatball?
because I'm Italian.
Okay.
Everyone's drag is totally different. For me, my drag is an exploration of all the things I wish I could do as a regular human, but it really toes the line, and that's half the fun for me is getting to express myself in a way that I don't normally. It's a person that's outside of who I am as a person day to day. So Delta's delirious and delusional, which I am those things, but it's too because you have to be delirious and delusional to do what we do for a living, but it's to the nth degree. It's taken right to the edge. She's also glamorous while she's also monstrous at the same time. Uh, and I think that's what brings the fun with who she is.
So if somebody's never seen Delta on stage, how would you describe your performances?
Big and heartfelt and funny and loud. I think
Yeah.
that's how I would, if I could take
I would
myself
also say
outside
high
myself.
energy.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I saw you in Divas a couple weeks ago. That's a show you're doing right now with Kaya Cristal and Roxy Pops.
Yes.
And oh my God, I mean, you did not stop moving for 2 seconds. The high kicks and boas flying all over and singing live the whole time.
Yeah.
That's a lot of energy.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. And it's so rewarding. This show is the hardest show personally I've ever done. And I've done a lot of theater. I did West Side Story. I've done a chorus line. This show is a lot of work on the body. And we don't, for the whole hour, we do, as you say, we don't stop moving. Everything is even when we're backstage, there's no rest because we're constantly changing. There's like 22 or 24 costume pieces in the show, and we call it a conveyor belt because every time you don't see us, we're on rotation getting into a new outfit.
And it's not just performing, you're also producing
Correct.
choreography
Correct.
and script.
Script is a collaboration
Okay.
with Jacques Lamar. I give him an idea and a concept, he writes, I take a look, I give him some edits, and then he gives us a final result. But yeah, like conceptualizing, choreography, costume design, makeup design, because I have very specific vision for every show, down to like what color our nails should be, what color our shoes should be. I hand paint all of our shoes for
Oh,
every show
wow.
that we do to match the costumes. It's a lot of work. We hand dye our tights to match our skin tone. There's a lot of work that goes into it.
How long have you been working with Kaya and Roxy?
I've known Kai and Roxy for uh, well over 10 years, but we've been working together now. This is our 4th year working together, our 3rd year doing a full production show together. We started off doing brunch together and
Okay.
realized that we wanted to up the ante a little bit more. That's when we created Diva, the live singing drag spectacular.
And what is it called this year?
It's called High Notes, Low Standards.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, yeah, which I love the title. I think it's so funny.
And speaking of high notes, I mean, all three of you have fantastic singing voices.
Aren't they just so great? I
Yeah.
love those two so much.
Yeah. But, people who have not been around Provincetown much might just think, a drag queen is somebody who lip syncs. Do you do that or you always sing live?
I lip sync when it's right for a bit. I tend not to lip sync. It's not my strength. I'm not very good at it. My voice is my talent. That's what I use. That's how I communicate. And that is so intrinsically Italian, to use our voice in our hands. So yeah, I've always been a singer. So lip syncing is not my go-to. Although I really appreciate people who do it well. I cannot.
Do you have people who are surprised when they come to your show to know that this is all live vocals?
It's crazy because P-Town has been for the longest time sort of the capital of drag cabaret, for me anyway. It's always been the town where the best of the best have come, the top of the heap, to sing live. And people to this day are still surprised that there are live singing drag queens. I think maybe because what we do is so different, because there's 3 of us doing it at once in harmony with choreography, and that's not seen very often. But every day someone is shocked, like, "Whoa, I didn't know that you guys sang." I'm like, "But it says it on the flyer."
It says it on the flyer. And also in Provincetown, we have very high standards when it comes to drag
Right,
because there's a lot of competition around there.
right.
Yeah.
This is the toughest audience in the world to perform for, is Provincetown. They want the best of the best.
And how does it compare to other audiences? Why is this one the toughest?
I don't know. Maybe it's because of that Cape Cod, New England energy. It's just there's so much to see. There's so many shows. There's 3 shows a day alone at our venue, and there are 4 to 6 venues in town doing 3 to 4 shows a day. There's so much. So people want the best because they're seeing the best. You have to be ready to do the work.
And it's so high energy. What happens if all of a sudden you get COVID? I mean, what happens in these situations? How do you keep yourself healthy?
Yeah, it's so funny. Roxy was just talking about this in another interview at another show. We all have to do our part to take care of ourselves because we're athletes essentially.
Yes.
I remember my friend John Riddle, who has performed here. He's like, "Y'all are in like the NFL of drag out here in P-Town," and it is like the NFL. I don't
Except
go
in high heels.
except in 3-inch heels.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't go out. I don't put myself around people. I try to go to the gym 5 days a week, even if it's just to walk on a treadmill to keep my body moving. I try to be conscious of what I'm putting in my body when I'm performing, because if I'm weighed down, like my energy is it, like for everyone, food is fuel. So on a day of a show, you're not going to see me eating pizza, but on a day off, I'm eating a pizza. It's all of those things: tea, soup, rest, warming up, cooling down. Yeah, wellness, taking care of yourself is really important to make sure you have the energy for that. Everyone thinks it's that 1 hour, but we start getting ready. If there's a 7 o'clock show, we get ready at 2. We're on the street by 4. We're barking for 2 to 3 hours, which is a different kind of energy. It's a mental game to be out there hawking your wares at people who might not want to be approached. And then you got to go on stage and then you have to perform for the people who came to see the show.
And since, as I said in my introduction, I want this to be a snapshot of Provincetown now, Provincetown in 2025.
Sure.
Yeah, one thing we do here is bark on the streets. I don't know if they will still be doing this in 50 years from now. So tell us about the experience of barking.
Sure. Barking or promoting is the soul crushing task of standing on the street and handing out your flyer and convincing people that they should see your show.
And you're in full costume.
And we're in full costume.
Full makeup.
Yep. And then some people start mistaking that, treating it like it's Disney World and we're a costumed character that they can just take photos of without consent, which is very rude. I don't care. I'm going to say this. It's so mean to take a picture of someone who isn't ready to take a photo. Ask nicely. We're more than willing. But like half the time I'm like this, like checking my nails and someone's across the street, like zoomed in on my fat face. And it's just not nice. Just ask. Yeah. They think we're a costume character or worse, a zoo, and they can just take pictures of the wildlife. And what we really want is just for people to engage with us and have a light, respectful conversation, whether or not they're coming to the show, and then move along their day. Maybe take a picture if they ask nicely. People need to learn to use the word please. It's a lot of, can I get a picture? I don't know. Can you?
Can you?
Can my kid get a picture? I'm like, I don't know. Do you know the word please? It's a lot of that.
But do you feel that barking works? Does it bring people in?
It does. It really does. Barking does bring people in because there's so many posters on the street and there's so many things to do and things to see that you can sort of get fatigued. So when you see someone on the street, you go, oh, look, there's a wicked witch. Suddenly Seymour, there's a wicked witch over at the art house. Let's go see that. Or there's 3 queens in pastel colors. What are they up to? Let's go talk to them. Or, oh, there's a 1990s clueless looking girl, my sister Paige Turner. We love the 90s. Let's do that. So it really does help drive your business when you're trying to get butts and seats.
So you start this show in Provincetown, but you also take it on the road. But before I go any further, for those of you listening in real time, because we're going to air this episode on October 20th, you're about to have some shows coming up for Halloween, so you can promote those.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we never stop working. We're always on to the next project. We love to work in the House of Diva. So our next show is called Sabrina, the Middle-Aged Witch, which is a spoof on the 1990s sitcom Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. And that starts October 24th. And there's 4 shows only, Fridays and Saturdays, October 24th through November 1st at 7:30 p.m. upstairs at the Post Office Cabaret.
So if you're listening in real time, then go get your tickets now. If you're listening in a year from now, well, sorry, you missed the show. It might be on YouTube. We'll see.
Maybe we'll be doing it again. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. But as I was saying, you take this show on the road. So after Provincetown, you are going to
Puerto Vallarta.
Puerto Vallarta, yes.
Mi pajarito es
Tell
muy
me about the
bonita.
experience of Puerto Vallarta, because a lot of acts in Provincetown spend the winter in, as far as I know, I think a lot of acts spend their winter in Puerto Vallarta, right?
Yeah. So as we know, maybe people who are listening might not, P-Town isn't nearly as active in the winter as it is in the summer. And for a performer like me, there really isn't a lot of business to be had here. So I could sit and stay and incubate and plan, but I like to stay active and I like to make money, as we all need to live. So we go to Puerto Vallarta in the winter, and it's the same type of attraction that P-Town does here in the summer, because the weather's, it's always like 85 degrees, perfectly sunny, clear skies, perfect temperature, beaches and pools, and fabulous entertainers down there as well. So we go for the winter from November to April, and we perform. This is our 3rd year going to Puerto Vallarta, and we're at the Palm Cabaret, which is the #1 theater and bar in Puerto Vallarta. It's the place you go for live entertainment.
How would you describe the differences between the Provincetown audience and the audience in Puerto Vallarta?
Not all that different.
Okay.
It's not all that different. We've learned that it's pretty much the same. What's different is the barking game is very different from Provincetown. Here in Provincetown, you stand outside your theater and you let people pass you by. In Puerto Vallarta, you have to walk the beach and you have to approach everybody, which is its own kind of hell. It was for someone who's like a shy, not a people person. It's so hard, which is why I'm so grateful to have Kaya and Roxy with me because I sort of let them take the lead on that.
And you do that in full drag and high heels on the beach?
No, we
No,
do
okay,
not.
yeah.
We just do that in a caftan and a pair of sunglasses.
Okay.
Thank God I would die if we had to do it out
Yeah.
in that hot sun in drag.
Mhm. And do you perform anywhere else? Do you have the show staged elsewhere?
So we do here and we do Puerto Vallarta, and we just added into our uh, roster. We did a Vakaya cruise this past summer to Alaska, and we'll be going on another Vakaya cruise in February to the Bahamas and Puerto Rico from February 14th to the 21st, doing a cruise there. So we've added that in. Sometimes we'll hit Boston if we're feeling it's right to Club Cafe, but for the most part, we do a residency for half the year here, and a residency for half the year in Mexico.
So you're like a globe-trotting queen.
Intercontinental.
Intercont-
I would like to be global. That'd be fun.
Actually, for now, that's all on one continent.
Yeah. We a goal for us is we would love to get to London, and you put it out into the universe and see what comes back. We said we wanted to do a cruise, and we got Vakaya, so I'm hopeful that in the next year we'll hit London just to see what it's like to perform out there to all those lovely people.
Well, based on my podcast statistics, I have listeners in the UK and Spain and
Oh,
France and other countries. So maybe somebody will invite you over.
look at that! Invite me.
So, I mean, that's a lot. What are the challenges of having a job like you do?
Mm. What are the challenges? Your hips hurt. That's number one. Shaving is constant.
Yes.
I'll start like topical, and then we can get deep. Like shaving hurts, especially when you're shaving 5 days a week and you have uh, bristly hairs. That hurts. You don't really have a social life because you have to dedicate your time to your craft. And any time that isn't spent in the theater is spent working on yourself to be ready for the theater. I don't really get to see my family as much as I would like to because I'm always working, because there is the only holidays you get are the ones you pay for yourself. And in this time, in this economy, I'm very blessed to have money to do what I do, but like if I don't work, I'm not making money. And then that I never want to have that problem. Coming from someone who had nothing growing up, I never wanna be without. So I'm constantly working. Um, Other constant challenges. I mean, like as an artist, I know that you can relate to this when you're constantly producing work, feeling like you have to keep up. Fatigue can set in. You hit blocks. You just don't feel like it, and what you're producing isn't necessarily your best work, but you got to keep going. Um, I'm really fortunate that this past season, this show is a real love letter to what it is I love about drag. So every last piece of that show is for me is there's so much effort and energy put into it. For me, there's not a lot of time to focus on like intimacy and relationships. I'm really focused on work and working right now. But I like it.
Well, that's
I'm
good.
happy to be doing it.
Yeah. And you can tell because you're so enthusiastic on stage, not just in Divas, because you've also done other shows.
Right.
Last year, you did a whole series on Judy Garland.
Yeah, I had a Judy Garland one woman show last season.
Tell us about that.
How do I explain it? Judy Garland, as someone that I've always loved, I have her tattooed on my leg. Um, I think they don't make voices like that anymore. Like Judy Garland, like Barbara Streisand. Like voices don't exist. Shirley Bassey, these big voices that didn't need a microphone or auto tune. That's hard to come by. And her voice is so special. And I've always been in love with her story. I've always been in love with that era of music. And I've always loved impersonating her. I like getting lost in the character. And that show was really just a tribute to her and what like a light feeling on what it must have felt like of like her final days would have been. So it was a little bit of the Judy Garland show, a little bit of Carnegie Hall, and then a little bit of what I felt London would have felt like. And you sort of, I always say it circles the drain, but it never goes down it. So there's influence from alcohol and drugs, but you never really see it happening because I didn't want it to become a joke. I
Mhm.
wanted it to feel real. And I wanted it to feel serious.
And your voice was on point.
Thank you.
How do you practice to get that so exact?
I have a really great vocal coach. His name is Michael Joseph. He's in New York. And it's so funny. He came to see the show. He saw all the shows last year, and then we had a lesson after the fact to tune me up in the room. We sat in the room together, just he and I, and diva and Judy are two different things vocally. Like that's asking a lot of your vocal cords to sing. Last year was a pop themed show. It was like a pop concert, and Judy is classic crooner songs and just a different part of my instrument.
Mhm.
So going from Tuesday night singing pop and rock to then having to sing not only classic music, but then with the effect of a character on top of that, really hard asks. And Michael Joseph sat with me in that room and we went through a few of the songs and everything that I was doing. It's so funny. It's hard to explain that like he had a hard time explaining what my voice was doing, but he just sort of went with it and coached me through some of the roadblocks I was having, midsummer fatigue. And I think that's what's important is getting outside opinion of someone who's an expert to listen and engage with you and help you figure it out. It's Michael Joseph. He's always there. Whenever I'm sick, I'll give him a call if I have a show that day, or if I'm experiencing a little bit of a struggle mid-run, he gets a ring from me, or if he's in town, I'm like, let's book a lesson. And that's how that I think you were asking, like, how do I do that? That's how I did it, is by being trained to.
You said you had an affinity for the big voices, and I definitely heard that in the Diva show this year. I was telling my partner when I got home, it was like all of the James Bond theme songs. You know, the
Yeah.
big belting voices, all three of you were just pushing it out.
Yeah, yeah.
These were big songs.
Yeah, every year we try to theme out our show to be something different. And it really comes from a place of what we're interested in at the moment. More so what I'm interested in. Like I love Kai Roxy. They're so along for the ride. It's so selfish. It's always what I want to do. But they trust me in that. So wherever my brain is going, they're so into like joining me on the ride. And this past year, it's always in Puerto Vallarta where we find our inspiration. That really is our place for like we take in all of the acts, we take in all of the entertainment, and we just absorb and we learn. And this past season, we really fell in love with what we do all over again. So this show is really a response to that. So if you look really closely, if you really know drag and you really look at this show and analyze it, every single number is a love letter to an individual drag queen, whether it's Edie or Varla or Randy Roberts or Coco Peru or Thirsty Burlington or Misconception or Sutton Lee Seymour. There is something in there for everybody because that's what they've uh, inspired us to do by doing what they do.
So, in terms of inspiration, what's inspiring you now? What's going to come up in the next few shows or the next few seasons? Are there any seeds you can plant right now?
Well, art imitates life. I'm turning 40 next year.
Oh, you don't say.
I do. It's so funny. Like people will make like a comment or be like, "Oh, it's just 40." It's like, well, 40 is a big number. 40 is a big one. I'm not 30, closer to 50 than 20. And with that comes a lot of self-reflection. And I'm just throwing it into the next show. So Sabrina is really a celebration of all of the messy things that happen as you approach 40 and all of the existential dread and all the questions that you ask and all of the mess that you uncover and sort of start to doubt in yourself. That's really what I'm focused on and inspired by. Literally in the moment is Sabrina the middle-aged witch is like, oh God, I'm turning 40. Let's write a show about what happens when you turn 40.
And any singers right now that are really tempting you?
Shirley Bassey has been in my playlist all summer long, and I can't stop listening to her. Have you listened
Oh, yes.
closely? She's just magical. She's an actor, singer, and you can feel every emotion in what she does. There's something there. And it's funny that you mentioned James Bond. I'm a big believer in like energy in the universe, and I've been toying with the idea of doing a James Bond set in our one of our next shows because there's so many big songs that can
They
be
are
covered.
big.
They're so big.
Yeah.
And it would be so much fun to do with Roxy and Kaya, a whole James Bond session with like beautiful gowns, great gowns, beautiful gowns. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking when I saw Diva, that it had that feeling because they were big belting voices like you would hear in the James Bond theme songs.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's cool that you picked up on that because we wanted it to feel 60s by way of the 90s, but also somehow current to today. And
Mhm.
I think when you say that, that's sort of the feeling. It's like these big soundstage songs that were sung back in the day.
Yeah. So even though you are turning 40 now, you're still considered to be like one of the new drag queens, one of the young drag queens here in town.
Right.
So if we think of Delta Miles in 10 years from now, what is it that you want to achieve?
I'm so happy where I am with what I have that I would like to continue to foster that and grow that rather than, I could ask for more garden, but I'm happy with the plot of land that I have right now. I would just like to see it in really full bloom. So I'm going to keep my head down and focus on my garden, watering it, nurturing it. Said differently, I would love to see every single show that we do be sold out, which is really hard in a landscape that has RuPaul's Drag Race. And I love, there's a lot of those girls that I love because I've met them and they're good friends, but that show makes it very hard to just be a local entertainer without a TV credit. So I would like to continue to work the long game in building my audiences out. And that's really all I'm focused on right now is that.
And how do you do that? I mean, because those girls, as you say, those drag queens, they're on TV and they get invited globally for all these shows and all stars and stuff. So if you're not part of that circuit, how do you do that?
I think doing the work is the most important part.
Because you definitely have the talent.
Yeah, I think doing the work is the most important part and making sure that you're working on yourself, staying humble, staying relevant, and building your audience. If I've got 20 people who come to a show and come to Provincetown every year and love my show, those 20 people are going to come back and probably going to each bring a person, which doubles to 40. A really great real example is Mates Leather Weekend that happens here every year. Last year, we were doing drag brunch. 3 of the mates from the weekend walked by our brunch after and just wanted to take a picture with us. And that interaction was so positive that this year they brought back 17 more mates with them and bought tickets to brunch because they were so enamored with just meeting us.
Hmm.
So I think that's the example. That's all it really takes. And I think that's how you build a really sustainable career is just doing the work, being kind, being present, and continuing to grow.
And Provincetown's a great place for that because, as you said, people will come back year after year.
Right.
And I find that a lot of people who come back to Provincetown year after year, they don't like to see things change. Like they come to my gallery and they say, "You had this painting last year. Where is it now?" Like, well, it's sold a long time ago, of course, but for them, they'd rather that the painting still be there because that they liked it and they like my gallery that way.
Right.
And but still, what I mean to say by that is that, if you have a dedicated fan, that fan will keep on coming back,
That's
and that
right.
will be to your advantage.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's brunch. Brunch is the same songs every year. We've
Okay.
been doing the same. I tell my close friends, I'm like, don't come to brunch anymore. Brunch is the same show that it's been for 4 years because it's a tradition for people and they want to see that show. So I say, if you want to see new material, you've got to come upstairs to the night show. That's where you're going to get an all new show, all new costumes. Downstairs, I say brunch is where old songs go to die. and we have so much fun doing it. But yeah, people like tradition, and that's okay. You know?
So, if someone is interested right now to be like Johnny, to become the next Delta Miles, and they're coming to Provincetown with their suitcase and a few costumes and a few Lee press-on nails, what's your advice to these new performers?
What's my advice? You don't want to be like me. To be like yourself. Work hard, be kind, and don't get too caught in the party lifestyle. Focus. I'm really talking how I would want to talk to myself. It's like, stay focused on what it is you want and go out and get it, and stop at nothing to have it, but be nice while you do it. It's really all you can do.
Yeah.
And have a good head on your shoulders and have a good circle of friends. That's really important. A good circle of friends outside of the industry who don't, so you're not always talking about it. I've got my two best friends, Marcus and Sam. When I want to get away from theater world and shop talk, I can just sit in their living room and pet their dogs, and we can talk about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
And isn't Marcus the one who makes wigs?
Marcus is also the one who does my hair. Yeah.
It's Marcus who?
Marcus Hoy.
Marcus Hoy, yes. He makes fantastic wigs for a lot of queens here in town, right?
I think Marcus makes hair for 99% of the drag queens here. If not, I think he's done hair for probably almost everyone here.
Yeah.
Including Varla and Dina Martina.
Well, we have a great circle of people here you can work with, and you can be guaranteed that in me, you have an eternal fan. I mean, when I saw you at Showgirls, 4 or 5 years ago, already
I had no clue that you had seen me there.
Well,
because I met you in the circle, so you were just a circle friend for me. Again, the whole P-Town thing of like, and then I discovered you were an incredible artist after the fact. That's how P-Town works.
That's how P-Town works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw you at Showgirls, and at that point, I was like, this person has talent. And then I saw you in Judy, and I was like, wow, this is just amazing. And I saw you in Divas, and I'm like, okay, there's no one better right now in the whole drag scene in Provincetown, really, in terms of voice, talent, dance, costume, everything. There's really no compare.
That's a big regard. Thank you, Gaston.
Well, I thank you so much for joining us. I learned a lot from you today, and I'm really glad you joined us on the Art Colony podcast.
Thank you for having me on the Art Colony podcast.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us, and see you next time.